There are a lot of hatchback lists out there right now, and most of them are just spec sheets dressed up as content. So we're going to do this differently today. We're counting down the 5 fastest accelerating hatchbacks on the planet for 2026, and we're going to tell you what the numbers actually feel like, what you're really paying for, and whether any of these cars are worth your hard-earned money. If you're new here and you're into real automotive talk, not fluff, not fanboy nonsense, just honest performance breakdowns, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now because this is exactly what this channel is about. And if you've got a strong opinion about any of these 5 cars, drop it in the comments. We read them all. Now let's get into it. Number 5, 2026 Volkswagen Golf R. Starting price is $49,455. Alright, let's kick things off with the car that a lot of guys in this hobby consider the gold standard when it comes to fast, practical, daily driven hatchbacks. The 2026 Volkswagen Golf R. Now, if you've been following the Golf R for the last several years, you already know what this car is about. It doesn't shout, it doesn't try to impress you in a parking lot, but the moment you put your foot down on an on-ramp, it makes its case pretty clearly. Under the hood, you've got a turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-cylinder pushing 328 horsepower. That power runs through a 7-speed DSG dual-clutch transmission and Volkswagen's R-Performance 4Motion all-wheel drive system. And when everything hooks up properly off the line, car and driver has recorded 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. For a car that looks like something you'd pick up groceries in on a Tuesday, that is a genuinely shocking number. There's also a Nürburgring mode, which most of you already know about, and it's not just a marketing gimmick. It sharpens everything: throttle response, shift speed, suspension stiffness, and holds the car in that state so you're not constantly fighting menus when you're trying to drive. Inside, it's clean and purposeful. The 12.9-inch touchscreen handles everything from navigation to drive mode selection, and Volkswagen kept the layout intuitive enough that you're not fumbling around when you want to switch things up quickly. The sport seats hold you in place without making you feel like you've been strapped into a racing harness. Heated seats are standard. The cabin is genuinely quiet at highway speeds, which means the contrast hits even harder when you flip into one of the sport modes and everything firms up. This is the car you can drive to work every day, drive your wife to dinner on Friday night, and then on Saturday morning go find a twisty back road and embarrass a lot of things that cost significantly more money. That combination of usability and real-world performance is still almost unmatched at this price point. If you want a hot hatch that's surgical, repeatable, and doesn't make you feel like you're constantly managing it, the Golf R is the answer. Number 4, 2026 Honda Civic Type R. Starting price is approximately $45,000. Now here's where things start getting a little more intense. The 2026 Honda Civic Type R. And I know what some of you are thinking. Front-wheel drive. How serious can it really be? That's a fair question, and the answer is going to surprise you if you've never driven one of these. Honda's turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-cylinder in the Type R produces 315 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, and all of that goes to the front wheels through a 6-speed manual transmission. There is no automatic option. There is no all-wheel drive option. It's just you, a clutch pedal, and 315 horses going to the front wheels, and somehow Honda gets it to 60 miles per hour in right around 4.9 seconds. The interior is driver-focused to a degree that some people find a little stark. Deeply bolstered sport seats, a digital gauge cluster with a shift light indicator, and a layout that strips away anything that isn't directly useful to the person driving. It's not luxurious by any stretch, but if you sit in it and understand what the car is trying to be, the Spartan approach makes complete sense. One thing worth mentioning, and this is something a lot of reviewers gloss over, is how usable this car is as a daily driver. Honda kept enough practicality in the Civic platform that the Type R isn't a punishment to live with. You can take it on a long road trip without your lower back filing a complaint. At around $45,000, it is one of the most honest performance values currently on the market. You're paying for engineering, not a badge. Number 3, 2026 Toyota GR Corolla, starting MSRP $39,920 to $47,965. If the Type R is Honda making the most of front-wheel drive, the GR Corolla is Toyota doing something completely different. This is a car that Gazoo Racing built from a Corolla platform, but by the time they were done with it, the connection to the economy sedan you're probably picturing is pretty thin. Toyota's turbocharged 1.6-liter three-cylinder engine, yes, 3 cylinders, produces 300 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. And if that sounds like a lot to pull out of an engine that small, you're right, it is. The way Toyota achieved that involved a very specific approach to turbo sizing and boost management that keeps the power building responsively rather than hitting in one big wave. The GR4 all-wheel drive system is the heart of what makes this car feel different from anything else in this segment. You can adjust the torque split between front and rear through drive modes, normal, sport, and track, and there's even a gravel mode specifically calibrated for loose surfaces. That's not a gimmick. The GR Corolla's rally-inspired DNA means it's been tested and tuned for real-world conditions that most hot hatches never see. Get it to 60 miles per hour, and you're looking at somewhere around 4.7 to 4.9 seconds depending on conditions and how well you manage the launch. The three-cylinder engine has a very distinct sound and character to it, and once you've driven one, you understand pretty quickly why the format makes sense here. It's lighter, it responds faster to throttle inputs, and it doesn't feel like a compromise. Now, pricing here is worth talking about. The base GR Corolla Core comes in just under $40,000, which for what the car delivers is genuinely competitive. The Circuit Edition and Morizo Edition push the price higher, but they add track-specific hardware, upgraded brakes, Torsen limited slip differential that dedicated drivers will appreciate. If you're the kind of person who watches this channel and has ever thought seriously about doing a track day or an autocross weekend, but still needs a practical hatchback for the rest of the week, the GR Corolla is probably the most well-rounded answer on this list. Number 2. 2026 Audi RS3 Sportback. Starting MSRP UK price is approximately £62,400. Not sold as a Sportback in the US buyers get RS3 sedan. Now we're getting into territory where the performance numbers stop feeling like hot hatch numbers and start feeling like sports car numbers. The 2026 Audi RS3 Sportback. And the first thing you need to know about this car is the engine. Audi kept the turbocharged 2.5-liter inline 5-cylinder, and that decision alone tells you everything about what the RS3 is trying to be. The inline 5 is a layout that almost nobody builds anymore. It has an irregular firing order that gives it a sound completely unlike any 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder car you'll hear on the street. It's distinctive in the best possible way, and in an era where a lot of performance cars are getting quieter and more anonymous, that matters. 395 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch transmission, Quattro all-wheel drive. Audi quotes 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds, and that number matches up with real-world testing results consistently. Inside, it's a proper Audi cockpit. The 12.3-inch Virtual Cockpit Plus display switches into RS-specific performance readouts when you're in the sport modes. The 10.1-inch MMI touchscreen handles everything else, and the standard Sonos 3D audio system on UK spec cars is genuinely impressive, though most guys buying this thing aren't going to spend much time worrying about the stereo. Now, the practical note for American viewers. The Sportback body style, the 5-door hatchback version, is not sold in the United States. Over here, you get the RS3 as a sedan. The performance hardware is identical, but if you specifically want the hatch body, you'd need to be buying in the UK or Europe. Pricing in the UK starts around £62,400. The RS3 is the car on this list that rewards the kind of driver who's done this long enough to appreciate the details. Not just how fast it is, but how it achieves that speed and what it communicates to you while it's doing it. That 5-cylinder engine alone is worth the price of admission for a lot of people who've been around long enough to miss when cars had character. Number 1. 2026 Hyundai Ioniq 5N. Starting MSRP $68,000. Here we go. Number 1. And I want to acknowledge something before we get into the specs, because I know some of you watching right now are skeptical. You might be thinking, an electric car at number 1 on a performance hatchback list? Really? I get it. A lot of people in this hobby grew up with carbureted V8s and manual gearboxes, and the idea of a performance car that doesn't have an exhaust note or a clutch pedal feels wrong on a gut level. Here's what I'll say. Drive the Ioniq 5N before you write it off, because this is not a car that just happens to be fast. This is a car that Hyundai's N division specifically engineered to feel like a performance car, and they went to some genuinely unusual lengths to make that happen. Car and driver clocked this car at 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.0 seconds flat, 3 seconds, in a family-sized hatchback. And unlike a lot of electric car acceleration runs, where the speed surge is just one long, relentless, featureless wave, the Ioniq 5N actually breaks that experience into something that feels more like what you'd expect from a performance car. Power output in normal mode is 601 horsepower. Hit the N-Grin boost button on the steering wheel, and that number climbs to 641 horsepower for a limited burst. Combined with the dual-motor all-wheel drive system, the launches are straight, clean, and repeatable. This isn't a car that gives you one good run and then thermal throttles itself into mediocrity. The battery management and cooling systems are built to sustain performance across multiple pulls. The interior matches the mission. Heavily bolstered sports seats, a steering wheel packed with shortcut buttons including the N-Grin boost trigger, and dual 12.3-inch screens for gauges and infotainment. The cabin is aggressive without feeling cluttered, and unlike some performance-focused interiors that sacrifice every comfort consideration in the name of weight savings, the Ioniq 5N is still a genuinely pleasant place to spend time on a long drive. $68,000. That's the price for the US market. And before you react to that number, consider what you're getting. 641 horsepower on demand. 3 seconds 0 to 60, all-wheel drive, drift mode, simulated gear changes, a practical 5-door hatchback body, Hyundai's warranty coverage, and a car that is, by any honest measurement, one of the most technologically sophisticated performance vehicles available at this price point from any manufacturer in the world right now. Is it what you imagined when you thought about a performance hatchback? Probably not. Is it the fastest accelerating one on this list and one of the most capable driver's cars currently available in a hatch body, regardless of powertrain? Absolutely yes. That's the list. 5 cars, 5 very different approaches to going fast in a hatchback body, from the Golf R's surgical all-wheel drive precision at under $50,000 to the Ioniq 5N rewriting what performance even means in 2026. Here's the question I want you to answer in the comments below. If someone handed you $70,000 and told you to pick one car off this list for the next 10 years, daily driver, weekend fun, the whole deal, which one are you taking home and why? Drop your answer down below. And if you got value out of this video, hit subscribe because we've got more of this coming. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.